Welcome back to You Tonight. Our guest with us tonight is here to talk about his new book, Hitman, My Real Life in the Cartoon World of Wrestling. Please welcome Bret Hart.
Hi.
Bret, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Like, this is really incredible. Just in terms of your name, I mean, I was talking to people today, and like letting them know I'm going to interview Bret Hart, and even people who have never been into wrestling, they know your name. What does it feel like to have that kind of weight to come with your name, just a name?
Well, you know, I'm grateful anybody remembers my name, you know, you remember it less and less as the years go, but at the same time, it never fades that much.
Mm-hmm. Now, I personally, like, I was never into wrestling that much when I was little. When you were big, and I still had the action figure, and with the pink pants. And I got to ask you, why the pink pants?
Well, at the time, I was a bad guy in wrestling, and it just was. We did it to be more bad.
Yeah.
You know, to make people dislike us more, and at the same time, we were desperately in need of some kind of color or something to brighten us up, or we had no ring entrance, or we were very bland in a lot of ways. And
Yeah.
it gave us a whole different life. It actually pink changed my life. I always say it's not my favorite color, but it's my lucky color for sure.
Well, one of my elementary school teachers always said that real men wear pink, and you proved it. So.
Yeah, it took a lot to wear pink every day, especially as a baby face. Now that's a whole different can of worms, you know, how to sell that.
Yeah. Now this book, I've had a chance to start reading it, and I got to tell you, like, I don't know if I've never really been able to get into a book written by a former wrestler or a current wrestler, but this is different. Your honesty about the business, I mean, this covers your whole life. I mean, this is gripping stuff. What made you want to tell this story and feel like you had to tell the story?
I think the fact that, I think it really dawned on me to tell my story, or tell the story I had when eventually it led to a point where you probably heard about the Montreal screw job kind of thing, where me and Vince McMahon had our big fallout. And when that happened, there was a lot of people that kind of just assumed like that that I overreacted, and you know, it's all wrestling, it's just a bunch of baloney anyway. Nobody really takes it serious. And here's this wrestler takes it so serious that he went off and punched his boss out and knocked him out cold in the dressing room. To kind of think about that, it's like it's like you had to be in my shoes to understand why I did that and why it bothered me that much. I mean, I think that was, I knew the day that all that happened, that I had a different story than everyone else, and I had different reasons than everyone else. And in a lot of ways, that little moment is what defines me in a lot of ways as a person. And I liked expressing that and writing that out.
Yeah, and one thing that stands out, and you say that this is really the thing that you're most proud of in all your years, you never injured somebody else because you were so good at the art of wrestling. You never caused harm to anybody else, and I think that's very respectable. That not only that you never did, but that's your biggest pride.
Yeah, it is. I mean, my tagline in wrestling used to be that I was the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. But, and people go, oh, that's kind of, you know, nobody can really say that. Maybe that's true. But I don't know of any wrestler today or even in the past that has the safety record that I did. I never injured one guy, not one wrestler anywhere. And I wrestled 23 years, 300 days a year on average. And it's a really tough job. And when you look at the job and you watch my matches back, I was really physical. I mean, I look like I'm killing everybody all the time. And that's the beauty of what I was all about.
And yeah, you say that tagline, you said that some people took you as arrogant because of that. Other people said that you weren't that charismatic. And you even admit in the book that you weren't the best person on the microphone. But still, despite all that, you're really one of the most popular wrestlers and really one of the biggest names that people think of when they think of wrestling in all its history. So why do you think that you still had that popularity even despite those, what some people might call setbacks?
Well, I believe that Hulk Hogan might have been sort of, say, the Elvis Presley of wrestling. You know, he was like the one huge sort of entity that everyone thinks about, the first thought that comes into your mind. But I think in my case, I think I would put myself in more of I was like the Robert De Niro of wrestling. I was the real I could tell this story with my matches. And if you were a little kid that got into my character, and you believed in that character from the start, that character waged some really, he always waged an uphill battle. And I think in telling those stories, just watching that character rise up and fight through all these situations was the difference.
Now, one story you tell in this book, you were around wrestling your whole life. Your father was in wrestling. He was a submission wrestler, so you say he used to stretch out anybody who came to your door, including the Catholic priest that baptized you and all your brothers and sisters. Is this true?
Oh yeah, and the rabbi too. He wasn't afraid to stretch. He'd stretch anybody. If you woke my dad up at 4 in the morning and he said, "I got 3 Chippendale dancers downstairs that want to become pro wrestlers," he couldn't have got his pants on fast enough. I mean, he was so excited. That'd be like Christmas for him. You know,
when he stretched out the priest, did that like affect anything at church? Did he not give him communion that week?
I think he sang better.
Now, John, just going back to the just when you were, would you call what you did performing when you were with?
Yeah, I would say it was performing.
Was there, now, you're obviously a man of integrity. Was there anything that they ever asked you to do or say within the storyline of the wrestling world that you felt compromised your integrity?
It was near the end they were starting to sort of push me into saying things about, you know, more homophobic, kind of like where I was accusing wrestlers of being gay and that kind of stuff. And that was right near the very last, seems like the last few minutes I was there, where I was kind of getting sort of pushed into that corner. And I think I knew then that it's like, I really did take a lot of pride in my character. And the wrestling character obviously is a like fictional sort of thing, but you know, there's a lot of your real personalities in that character. I mean, it's like I try to explain, I was Bret Hart all my life.
Right.
I wasn't just Bret Hart for, you know, it wasn't just a made-up name that I picked out of the sky and said, okay, I'm going to call myself Bret Hart and I'm going to do all. I really did have this background and this history, and I was Bret Hart for a long time, through wrestling through college and high school. And I mean, I had a legitimate name and reputation that I always thought was as important as every bit as important, and as much tied in with that real character, like that fictional character.
It definitely comes through in the book that you maintain that character, you maintain your integrity. It clearly comes through. And even with when you were getting started out, I thought it was funny that you said that you had always been clued in that wrestling wasn't completely real, but you never really knew exactly how fake it all was. And I thought that was interesting, just somebody who'd been around it his whole life, and then you're around like 20 years old, and you start to get into it, and because back then it was a lot less obvious. I mean, and now they're not hiding it. It's WWE. There's not even wrestling in it, you know. But you didn't even know for sure how fake it was.
Yeah, I've always thought fake was like almost like the least best word to describe what you do, because you know, like in wrestling, you know, I wish it was all fake, you know. But you body slam somebody, you can't fake it.
Right.
And trust me, the body slam hurts as much as it looks. And it's like that with a lot of things in wrestling. And you know, if you're watching wrestling and you see something and you go, "Ooh, that looked like it hurt," trust me, it probably did.
All right. Well, I don't want to learn firsthand. So.
No, I'm a pacifist now.
All right, that's good. So the sharpshooters, that's in retirement.
Yeah. Would
you bring the sharpshooter out of retirement if you could say do it to Vince McMahon or Shawn Michaels?
No.
No.
I would bring it's retired. I might, you know, bring a guillotine or something like that.
So you're not lying. You really are a man of integrity, and it shows through in the book. And I just want to thank you again so much for being with us and doing this interview. Everybody, the book is Hitman by Bret Hart. Go buy it. It's going to be different than anything you've ever read. If you've ever read another wrestling book, this is a different thing. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you. It took me 7 years to write that book.
7 years?
7 straight years.
Yeah.
Through a stroke.
And the whole story's here, and it's fascinating. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll be right back.